Sam sat in his apartment staring at the wall. He had been sitting there for hours, unmoved. He felt numb, empty. His girlfriend of 3 years has cheated on him with their boss for a promotion. When Sam got to know about their secret, he was fired. Unknowingly, he went down on a road of self-destruction. Eventually, his life fell apart, from friends to family. Sam lost all. He felt like he was all alone in this cruel world. He thought about reaching out to someone, but he didn't know who. He didn't want to burden anyone with his problems. He felt like he was a burden to everyone. He closed his eyes and tried to imagine what it would be like to have someone to talk to, someone to care about him. But it was no use. He couldn't imagine it. He opened his eyes and looked around his new apartment. This was now a small, dingy place. It has been close to a year that he left his lavish apartment, located in a prime area of the city. This felt like a prison. He got up and walked over to the window. He looked out at the city below. It was a busy, bustling place. But the man felt like he was the only one who was alone. He sighed and turned away from the window. He didn't know what to do. He felt like he was drowning, and there was no one to save him. He felt he has lost his purpose. He lay down on the couch and closed his eyes. He tried to sleep, but he couldn't. He felt that he is losing the battle of life. He eventually fell asleep, but his dreams were filled with nightmares. He dreamed about being lost in a dark forest all alone. He dreamed about being chased by monsters and no one could hear his screams. He woke up in a cold sweat. He looked around his apartment and felt even more alone than before. He didn't know how much longer he could go on like this. He felt like he was losing his mind. He got up and went to the bathroom. He looked at himself in the mirror. He saw a tired, haggard man. He didn't recognize himself anymore. A man in his late 20s resembling an unsuccessful man pushing 40. Life was unfair, but life is never fair. And Sam knew that. He had to fight. He turned away from the mirror and walked out of the bathroom. He didn't know what he was going to do, but he knew he couldn't stay in his apartment any longer. He grabbed his coat and left. He didn't know where he was going, but he knew he had to get out and get his life back. He walked for hours not knowing where he was going. He just walked, trying to clear his head. Eventually, he found himself in a park. He sat down on a bench and looked around. The park was full of people, but Sam felt even more alone than before. He closed his eyes and tried to think. He had to do something. He couldn't just keep going on like this. He opened his eyes and looked around again. He saw a woman sitting on a bench across from him. She was reading a book. Sam hesitated for a moment, but then he got up and walked over to her.
Excuse me, I was wondering if I could sit here.
The woman looked up from her book and smiled.
Yes, of course, why not?
Sam sat down and they started talking. They talked for hours, and he felt more connected to someone than he had in months. When it was time to go, Sam was reluctant to leave, but he knew he had to.
Thank you, I don't know what I would have done without you. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. I'm glad that I met an interesting person after so long.
Sam walked away, feeling a little less lonely now. He knew he still had a long way to go, but he was finally starting to feel like he wasn't alone anymore. He wasn't the loser anymore. I hope you enjoyed this story. It is a reminder that even when we feel alone, there is always someone who cares. We just have to reach out and find them. Sam took control of the situation. He took a decision to not be miserable anymore. He will win. We must remember, even at our lowest, it is us who should take control of our lives. Brothers, like and subscribe for more such stories that will remind you how to get back up on your feet, no matter how much you fall. Money Maestro always has your back.